Collective Soul, you guys have had a few awesome years in a row here. 2024, obviously, big year celebrating your 30th anniversary. The fun continued through 2025, and you guys aren't stopping here in 2026.
Yeah, we just saw Def Leppard in Vegas. So, yeah, we're trying to follow those kind of molds. We still create, and we still enjoy creating. We still enjoy playing live music. It's what we do. So
23 dates I think you have scheduled so far, different festivals, ton of shows across the U.S., but the tour kicks off with a pair of dates in Canada, March 27th at Caesars Windsor, March 29th on the OLG stage, Falls View Casino in Niagara Falls. So you guys always seem to have some Canadian dates whenever you guys tour. Tell me about the Canadian crowds and Canadian fans and why you guys want to keep coming to Canada.
We're just glad anybody wants to hear us play. But no, from the early days, we always enjoyed Canada and always had a great following there and some great memories, great shows. We just see kind of USA and Canada really as almost, as far as touring goes, another chance to play a rock show. But there's definitely a love there between Collective Soul and Canada.
Keeping with the Canadian theme, you guys supported Canadian rockers Our Lady Peace last year, and then they supported you guys in the U.S. So what can you say about those guys? And do you have any stories from the road from Rain and Duncan and all the OLP guys?
Yeah, we love those guys and known them a long time. The first real memorable tour we had together was 98. It was Edge Fest across Canada, and it was stadiums. So it was like we were all young. I would have been 27 years old, and we were talking on tour. Me and my wife gave life to our oldest son November after that summer of 98. And now Tristan is our keyboard player, background vocalist, and we're laughing because November after we all met and hung out together across Canada, he was born, and now he's on stage with us, and we're all still playing music. But it's the friendship there is genuine. I love Duncan. I love Rain. We've had some great memories over the years. Even in the 2000s, we did tours together. We've always found each other every 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, to go tour together. Love playing with them across Canada. It's just amazing to support them. You get the shorter set. You're off stage earlier, and then you get to see Our Lady Peace in their element, which is across Canada. And a lot of people don't get to experience that. And, I even had a chance to see Tragically Hip a few times in Canada. And, a lot of Americans have no idea what that's like. It's a really cool scene, really cool vibe that gets going.
Yeah, it just brings up that point about that whole Canadian and U.S. relationship. Like a band like the Tragically Hip, they're like icons and legends here north of the border, but they in the U.S. they never really took off, and I don't understand why.
Detroit,
really.
Detroit knows them, and Buffalo knows them.
Yeah.
But yeah, down here in Georgia, everybody's like, "What?" I feel fortunate to have met friends in Canada and have that fan base in Canada, and had those memories and see what that pride is. I know what we get in crowds. Especially in Georgia, we get crowds in front of Georgia, and I can tell they're proud of us. And it's really awesome to see bands like Lady Peace and like I said, I had the opportunity to see Tragically Hip a few times. It's really an awesome feeling, even though you don't have to be Canadian. It's just a really awesome feeling.
I know you guys are back in Canada later this year when you play in Manitoba at a festival. Some bands that are on that bill, like Cheap Trick, Quiet Riot, 5440, another great Canadian band. But I'm curious, like you guys have obviously played with a ton of bands over the course of your career. 30 plus years. So who are some of those bands that you've either supported or you've played on the same bill with that stand out to you that have either left a lasting impact with your band or maybe left you with some advice or inspiration that you've carried forward with Collective Soul?
That's a good question. I get asked that a decent amount. You framed it up real well. But yeah, I'd say Van Halen 95. I mean, I've carried around some of the stuff that Eddie did just by watching him and what Eddie said as well. He was always in our dressing room hanging out, wanting to talk, man. He was always wanting to do something, man. And he always had a guitar on his neck and a cigarette up there at the headstock. And in that era, he was drinking non-alcoholic beer. So he literally had a non-alcoholic beer with him the whole time too. But yeah, the Eddie tour. And then we've had to really grew up as a big fan of King's X, and we shared the stage with them a number of times. So that's just always an honor. It's an honor to share the stage with most of these bands. Cheap Trick, you mentioned. Yeah. And so every time we play with them, I try not to miss a single note. I love playing with them. I love watching them sing. Robin's still amazing. The band sounds great. They got Dax Nielsen on drums now. I got Rick's son on drums. I got my son on stage with Collective Soul. It's generational now at this point with a lot of bands. But yeah, Van Halen definitely left in an impressionable era, impressionable time in our life. That was our second record, and they were showing us all the arenas. It was like 30 dates across U.S. and Canada. We hit Montreal, and I think we hit Toronto. We hit Quebec City. I remember Quebec City. I remember eating dinner in Quebec City with Michael Anthony.
Wow.
1995, yeah.
Who are some other bands that you've maybe shared the stage with or same festival bill that were, that hadn't really quite found their success yet, hadn't really quite made a name for themselves, but then, you look back and they eventually did, that sort of thing. So someone that you maybe saw before they were famous kind of thing, and what was that energy kind of like with a band like that?
Yeah, I mean, we've toured with people, but before, Third Eye Blind, before they broke, they were supporting us. Same thing with Train. Train did a whole summer supporting us, and then, kind of blew up, man. We discovered Matchbox 20 when they were a band called Tabitha's Secret, and that was in small clubs in Orlando when we saw them the first time. Yeah, man, there's been lots of bands, lots of friends, man. It's one of the coolest things that we get to do is meet other musicians and meet other even journalists and such like yourself, man. So there's too many to even go over, man. We shared the stage with so many people. It's pitiful.
I appreciate that insight. I didn't know the Matchbox 20 angle with you guys. That's cool. It's still fresh. We just got back from a festival in Tempe, Arizona, the Innings Festival, and I interviewed this band there called Common People. Young guys, like early 20s, and they're on the label of the guitar player Brad from Cage the Elephant. And like we haven't met the guys from Cage yet, but we've seen them a bunch of times. But to hear those young guys just talk up Brad and that group, like, it's just cool to see that generational kind of connection and that inspiration just kind of keep evolving and keep churning on, I guess, right?
Yeah, man. We were at the same festival as Cage last summer at Bourbon and Beyond. They were great live, man. It was great opportunity to, like, all of a sudden, I've never seen Cage, and I'm like, okay, cool, get to see him today.
Absolutely. So getting back to you guys, so like 30 years in, and I read this quote that seeing eye to eye and ear to ear is part of the secret sauce of why Collective Soul continues to both record and play together after all these years. So what's your take on that, Will? What's that secret?
We've known each other our whole lives, me and the Rowland brothers. I don't literally have a memory without knowing who those guys were growing up in their father's church. We knew each other as individuals and really knew each other as individuals, and we grew up together. We watched Ed work on his songwriting in my father's studio for 7 years as we were coming up through high school, and his songwriting to me is I can figure out where we're going to go with this thing really quickly. I think it's very it's just well thought out, and it's easy. When it's well thought out, it's easy to figure out where you're going to go with it. And we all thought the same, and we all think the same. We all hear each other. We all listen. We open up our ears. We just try ideas, and there's nobody's right or wrong. We just try things, and we do know when it feels good that it's right, and we still enjoy creating as a band. So you mix all that together, and here we are, like 32 years later. You
guys have documented that, when you were recording your last album, something that's still pretty fresh. I think it was released last year, like less than a year ago. Yeah. Your first ever documentary, Give Me a Word, the Collective Soul Story. So what can you tell me about the film, Will? How did it come together, and how's it feel now that it's been out for a bit? Yeah, when you start to do your own documentary, we started kind of trying to do it ourselves, and it's a lot. You realize like you got a lot to go over and a lot to find and organize before you even start doing interviews and such. But partnered with a production company out of California, Phonetics, and we finally got it done. And it kind of hinged what I think is one of the cooler things about it, the production of the documentary, is we hinged it around recording a record at Elvis's estate in Palm Springs. So it's not just let's rewind the tape and check the history out. It's like the band still recording, still playing like a band. We're in Elvis's house, which is a cool backdrop, and we're going to tell you the story about how this band got here to Elvis's house 31 years later. So that's what I think is cool about it. You talked to my wife, I think it was a couple years ago. I think it was right after you recorded the album. Anyway, she's a huge Elvis fan, and I think she probably peppered you with questions if I look back at the interview. But what was the vibe like being in Elvis's old house and creating and making music in there? Like, it had to have been a different kind of aura in there. Yeah, and it was an absolute time capsule. It was left just like he left it. Right. And you could tell. I mean, some of the rooms had the exact same carpet. I mean, the pink tile in the master bath that Priscilla picked out. Yeah, it was super cool. It was super cool just knowing that was the King's place, man. That's where he liked to hang. He spent
a lot of time his last couple years there. That's where he actually preferred it over Graceland towards the end there. So yeah, the vibe was great. And I was glad it was a time capsule. A lot of things weren't working right, but it was like, that's exactly the way Elvis left it, you know? And I think the owners, it was a friend of a friend that got us in there, and we knew the owner, Tim. I think he was taking his time with what to do and how to update it without messing with some of the patina and some of the original design. So he was taking his time, but I think he has, since we left, I think he has pretty much got everything working and cleaned up and proper. But we had a blast there. And like I said, I loved the fact that things were left just like when Elvis was there. I loved that.
Yeah, that's super cool. And like, you guys were obviously the first band to do a project, to do something creative after the
Absolutely.
fact.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're not going to be the last, though, after you kind of set the template, right?
I don't think he's eager to ask rock bands to come back in there.
Yeah, I guess, right. Yeah, if you want to keep it the same, I guess you don't invite rock bands in, right?
Asked him for about a year very nicely, and then he finally agreed to it.
Right on. So what's next for Collective Soul? And when do you guys start working on album number 13?
We're always working on something, and we've got stuff kind of in the can already. But yeah, the new record's out this April. It'll be on vinyl only on Record Store Day.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
In April. So yeah, we're proud of that. When we took ourselves up to the mountains, we're on the side of a mountain with a beautiful landscape, and brought in some recording gear and hung out for a month and did what we do, man. We made another record. Yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to that, and we'll definitely stay tuned to your socials and to your website for all the latest details on that. We'll look forward to more news on the new album, and we'll look forward to seeing you when you come up to Canada.
Yeah, man. Can't wait to get up there, man. See you guys.